Or four.
Excellent.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, I looked at it today. It's, Amy Dodge Lane.
Oh, so we're waiting
The two
on-
family.
what are we waiting on? We didn't like the materials. they
We
gave us.
just said no. We didn't accept.
No, we didn't.
No, we just
We-
accept, we didn't accept we didn't
The
accept it.
application.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
right.
they had to,
I remember now. I remember now. There was something else that wasn't, the application was.
Yeah.
We didn't accept your application, the one on Dash Lane. The two houses, the house that got moved from. I know, I know.
Did you tell Laura if he's there?
No.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start as we go through the applications without, attorney. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the February meeting of the zoning board of review for town of New Shoreham. I'm Kate Atwater Butcher. I'm the chairwoman. We have Corey Hines as our land use assistant. And I will let the rest of the board, introduce themselves. We do have Mark McGuire, who is a new, member. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Stepping up to the plate.
Judith Saranac.
And we have Sally Broussard this evening, and William Landry is our attorney, and he will be hopefully joining us shortly. So we have three applications this evening and one hearing. Everybody is here and moving forward for the first time in a very long time. The first application is the Town of New Shoreham, Plat 3, Lot 127, Nancy Road, an application by the town manager for special use permit under 306E for a government facility for installation of public restrooms at Hampton Beach.
So good evening. Oh, excuse me. Marianne is out of town as of a couple hours ago, so she asked me to present.
Okay.
And as you know, we got off to a slow start this month ago, but here we are and ready to go. Yep.
Okay. So this has already gone through this. We went through it last month. Last month, they came to us with the application and it got the materials got to us in too short a time frame. So we have to move it this month. So it is a special use hearing. I'm going to go through the submittal checklist. They submitted their butters list, there are no current variances or modifications on the property. The composite site plan has been submitted. Proposed and existing structure shall be indicated, including footprints and foundations, et cetera. That has been submitted. Spatial requirements, including street lot lines, have been submitted. They have submitted their CRMC assent.
Yeah, but they gotta be.
Where any land disturbances proposed, grades shall be shown in two picture bills, that's been submitted. Benchmarks have been submitted. A statement from the zoning official that any variance of special use permits necessary to develop the project as proposed have been secured or applied for. That is not marked submitted or waiver.
That's from the zoning official. So I believe I know we have that.
I think she's got her that you've applied for the right thing.
Yeah, yes.
You applied for the right thing.
Well, obviously,
Okay.
she put this together.
Okay. CRC engineering biological reports, the CRC assent dated October 5th, 2022 has been submitted. Utility disposal plan, which is very important. That is been submitted and is attached to the application. Architectural plans have been submitted, aerial photos submitted. They are requesting a waiver on economic impact report. Analysis of toxic hazardous materials impacts, they request a waiver on that. Landscape plan.
That seems important.
It's part of the site plan shows the mowing that they required and the areas to not be mowed for runoff protection. So that's the only lines. There's no lines.
Open space management plan, asking for a waiver. Who's there? And then models, we don't like models. So that's good. And then traffic analysis waiver and auto dependency waiver. The town is also asking for, to be a waiver for development plan review, which I don't have a big issue with. It's small building, necessary area. And, kind of a message, but I don't have an issue with that. It's not, it's a small development that's going to change more. So, do you have any questions? I will then make a motion to schedule this for the fourth week. Where do you mean for April? Is that right? April 3rd?
It's
Can you get through?
March 1st is mailing of butters, plan advisory, March is conservation.
When do you go? Like, can you get through conservation and planning
Yeah.
at the March meeting?
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
Okay.
So March 22 zoning board public hearing is the
Okay, so
projected.
you're right, aiming for March 22nd. I'll make a motion to schedule this for the March 22nd meeting. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The second application of the evening is for Fab 5 LLC Plat 3 Lot 86-1, fire number 1181 Cornick Road. Application for a special use permit under section 306C and 406 to demolish an existing single-family dwelling and rebuild a single-family dwelling and an accessory structure. So Judith, are you recusing on this?
I am recused.
Judith
from
is
this.
recusing on this.
Do I need to leave the table? Being it's only the.
It's only the
application stage?
application, no. I have to state my conflict of interest. Well, I have represented the Murphys as a rental manager in the past. We no longer have that relationship. It's a good relationship, but we no longer have that relationship. And, but I do represent 3 abutters in my rental business. So in an effort, I would prefer to recuse myself only because it is, and am a very close about, I'm not actually on the list, but I personally am right there as well. So I would prefer to recuse myself. And I don't know how we proceed on that. I wasn't even thinking about the rental world. of-
If you're gonna recuse yourself and if there are.
But I can accept the application. I think,
Yeah.
Right? I just, I don't want to hold anything up. We've been having such a difficult time
Right.
with quorums.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
There's a rule of necessity.
Right.
So, I think this would fall into the rule of necessity.
right, so if I'm happy to accept the application and then take it under advisement with Bill or whoever. about it.
Very good.
Okay, so it is a special use permit. It is a big thorough application. I went through it quite thoroughly and the only issues I had were in some of the calculations that I had some questions on with the developable land of calculation. I know there's a lot of land there.
Yeah,
but,
I think it's 9 acres.
yeah, I know that it's not an issue as it comes to footprint and any of those things.
Right,
but-
or density for
Or
that matter.
density, yeah, but we do have to make sure that it is an accurate number.
Right,
Because if you, it just may be me reading it wrong, but when you deduct the right of way, which runs the entire length of the property, and then you deduct the wetlands, for the hearing, if we could make sure that those numbers are indeed accurate, because they, to me, don't add up.
I would ask, we have the architect who prepared the architectural, and I believe is knowledgeable about the measurements, so if he could.
Did you look at that? I didn't, I mean, that was,
I think it's just the reading of,
the way it
What's
reads,
supposed to
and
be
that's
in
what I'm saying,
there.
it may be just the way that the application is written.
You're on page 1.
The
under,
first page,
Developable
right.
land calculation.
So first of all, it says the excluded street right of way is 303,000 square feet of land. Which is not
it's like,
accurate.
that's
So-
after you've subtracted it.
Right, that's what the net, that's what
Yeah,
the net
so-
is.
But that's
So-
not, that's not the
Yeah.
way the
Yeah,
application is
Yeah,
written.
it's a tight, yeah.
So if you could just kind of go back through, I'm not gonna have you do it right now, because it's a lot of math on the fly. But if you could just go back through and, make sure that the base of the right of way deducted off of the total, and then go to the wetlands and make sure that these numbers all are, accurate and then read right, that'd be great.
Yeah, that 102,000 is the deducted. including the right of way.
Right. So, if you could fix that prior, to the hearing, which is 10 business
Mhm.
days prior to the hearing, would be great.
Absolutely.
And did anybody else see any other issues with the application?
And then I did that.
You did?
Yeah, if I could, there was a typographical mistake.
Okay.
And that was on number 16. We actually eliminated the raised deck and there's a stone patio there, so to bring us more in keeping with the ordinance. So we're asking for less relief, but mistakenly, that wasn't reflected. So.
You can amend that as well, or you have it amended
I
already,
have it,
and that's for the page, the third page?
that's the, yes. And specifically, yeah, we eliminated, it says, and due to the topography of the lot, the elevated deck is necessary. So we, despite the topography, we actually, are accommodating the town's request pursuant to the ordinance, and we're putting in a patio as opposed to a raised deck.
Okay. Okay, so I am swapping out what page is this of the application? Page 5, 4, or 5, the final page of the application,
Yeah, page 4.
amended, number 16 on the application has been amended. And then, because it is a special use permit, we do have submittal requirements to go through.
Yes.
The butters have been submitted, all variances, modifications have been submitted. Composite site plan has been submitted, proposed and existing structures shall be indicated. That's been submitted. Spatial requirements, including street and lot lines, setbacks, building heights, and roof profiles has been submitted. Land disturbance, and environmental data has been submitted. Where any land disturbances proposed, existing or proposed grades shall be shown in 2-foot intervals. No significant land disturbances proposed, existing structures being replaced. Okay, so it's basically in the same,
And so this, actually, the footprint's smaller.
but it's not dinging it. Okay. I got it. A statement from the zoning official,
We've-
sorry, benchmarks have been submitted. You've requested from the zoning official, any variances, modifications, special use permits necessary have been requested. CRMC engineering is non-applicable. Utility and disposal plan has been submitted. Architectural plans submitted, aerial photos. Does anybody want to see aerial photos? Okay. So we want to mark that as waiver requested if you just want to. I'll give you a blue pencil. Where is it? Aerial, where am I? Here. Just waiver requested, just write waiver there initial.
And a bunch of blank. Thank you. I'll sort this out.
Economic impact report, waiver is requested. Analysis of toxic and hazardous materials, a waiver is requested. Landscape plan, waiver requested. Anybody want to see a landscape plan? Okay. Open space management plan, a waiver has been requested. Is that it, number 12, is that it? Is that it, the final one? Oh, 13, right. Sorry, models, waiver has been requested, traffic analysis, there's little or no impact proposed, the waiver has been requested, and auto dependency, waiver has been requested. Okay, does anybody have any questions? I-
You need this page, this corrected page.
It's in here already, I got it, yeah, I got it. Yep. So, April meeting?
Is it possible to have a March?
I can schedule it for March, but have you gone to you're gonna be, I'm sending you to conservation and planning. It's gonna take a while for you to get through planning.
All
It's
right.
not gonna be a fast, these special use permits have been taking at least sometimes two or more meetings, so. I can schedule you for March, but in an effort to not have you have to ask for a continuance, I'd rather, the zoning official's been asking us to schedule you for April, just from a time manner.
April's fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I'll make a motion to schedule for April 26th meeting. All in favor? Aye, great. Okay. So we'll see you in April, April 26th.
I thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
So there,
You're not here in March? Okay.
Keep that in mind. Schedule.
Okay.
Great, yeah, see it.
Hi.
Hi,
How are you, Nick?
good evening.
Okay, so. Yeah, the third application of the evening is BI Harborview Partners 2 LLC, Plat 4, Lot 29, fire number 638 Corneck Road, an application by Richard Hayes for a variance from sections 113C and 306C for construction of an addition to a single-family dwelling.
Yes. So, nice to see everyone again. Turn the corner towards spring and everything. So,
I think it's snowing out.
you know, bad timing. Anyway, this same piece of property, you probably remember, has already been approved for a house. Mr. Hayes, that was in 2020, summer, I think summer or fall of 2020 was approved. Mr. Hayes decided that he wanted to put up a different house that had different dimensions. So that necessitated that he come back to the board because the dimensional relief was slightly different. And so I think he has to come back, and he has. And happy to report, however, that I think you can see in the plans, the proposed new house, which is a very different style. It's more historically compliant with the island. It's a mansard house. Did I say that right? Mr. Sauerbrey designed it. It is a very attractive house, and there aren't a lot of mansards out here. I didn't even know they were mansards until someone told me. But in any event, it's a smaller footprint by just a little bit. It's really the same thing that we asked for last time. If you recall, or if you look at the site plan, you can see that this mansard house is being attached to an existing structure there that is also, I guess, a single-family dwelling. So it's just being attached to that. The attachment, which is 6 feet in width, is not compliant with the setback area. In other words, it impinges on the setback area. Therefore, we have to ask for relief for that. It's 5.13 feet that it impinges. That's it.
It's just, Mark, just, you know, the existing house sits completely within, the whole existing house sits completely within the setback.
Yeah.
The new house sits completely out of the setback.
So we've shown that in the plans, and then Mr. Sauerbrey prepared some even better plans that color the setback area. We can make those part of the application if you want. I mean, officially, it's not usually done, but it does make it easier.
No, if you want to submit them as exhibits during the
we'll do
hearing,
that.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I have some, in going over the plans.
Yeah.
Which are quite thorough, but there are some things that are missing on it. There's not all of the pages have measurements on them, and that got a little bit confusing with footprint when I was trying to figure out footprints. The building is in on one sheet, it's 75 feet exactly, and on another, and then on the application, it says it's 60 or 74 point something. Yes, so you're not permitted to have anything longer than 75 feet. That's walking a fine line, and that puts a lot of pressure on the building official and the building department, and it's just that's very tight. I mean, it's you know, it's not a whole lot of space there to get to that 75, you know.
Because it goes right to the setback lines.
No, it's, you're just saying you can't have a building be longer than, you can't exceed 75 feet in length, and when you're at 74 point,
74 foot 9 3/4 inch.
yeah, I mean, that's
The burden is who's gonna measure that.
the measuring.
You know,
I measure that on my drawings.
Okay, all right, but just so you know, I'm just talking about when, right now, we are only in the application stage, but when you
Yeah.
come to us
Yes.
next month, or in 2 months, probably, or next month, sorry, you're just a variance, we're gonna be asking a lot about that.
Sure. Would you
Um,
direct me to the 75 feet on the drawing so that I could find that?
Right now, I measured off of one that I had, and it came out as exactly at 75 feet, and then another one. The other issue I have with it.
Yeah.
Just go through the application, please. The other issue I have is when I look at the site plan, I see like all the egress, and there's one door that has no stoop. It has no landing pad, essentially off the original house, the door to the, I think it's to the south, maybe. So if what the plan is there to walk out the door safely and not stepping right into the ground, just because you are, again, close to your 2,000 square foot permitted. No, I don't think that a stoop would get you to 2,000 square feet. I'm just saying, it was just something that I noticed. I was like, because you show egress stoops on throughout the plan. And then that one, is missing. So we'll be asking questions about that.
I think,
I will be at least.
okay, I think also you should add that, I think you might want to represent and calculate the height better than what's on the plan. There's lines as far as the height, and they don't go completely down, and how the height was calculated.
Okay, is tonight about the math?
Nope,
No,
we're
so
gonna be
it's-
asking
Okay.
questions that we're gonna want to answer.
So, all right, so my question is, if you're giving me a heads up about errors, am I allowed to ask where you see those errors?
Yeah,
Because I spent 16 hours on these and I don't think that all three of those issues have errors, would be my take.
Okay, well, that's great.
So, but we don't need to discuss that tonight
Well,
or,
what we'll do is I'm gonna, we'll explain to Corey where we saw the issues and then she will.
okay,
She'll
Okay.
let you know what you need to tighten up.
I'd,
or not
I'd
tighten up.
appreciate that.
Yeah, there was just, it's been with the height, it was, there's Billy's in the car. Hi, Bill.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
I don't think you're supposed to be driving while you're on, at a zoning meeting.
Well, the only way we're going to be able to do it tonight.
Well, welcome.
Thanks. No, I got went over on an earlier meeting
Okay,
and I,
no worries. We'll,
instead of going back to my office and doing it on my computer, I've got to do it on my phone or I'd be even later.
okay. All right,
I just want to add that it isn't just a question of whether the application's numbers add up, on the piece of paper. The problem becomes who's going to do the field measurement and where is the benchmark for the field measurement for the height? The building department, when they have to measure down to a tenth
Inches.
of a foot or, it's an inches, that's a heavy burden to put on the
Yeah.
building department, frankly.
So in my
Have to-
conversation,
It's awfully tight. And when you
Sure.
get that tight, we get very fussy about
understood.
calculations.
Yeah, admittedly, this is tight. It's kind of like when you make a pie, you kind of fill the whole pan. And that's kind of what we do design wise. What I will say is that in my conversation with Building Inspector Chuck Phelps, who I've had conversations with for 25 years in other towns when he's been inspector, is that he is very articulate about what he wants. And so my answer to you is we were already articulate with our math, with the exception of during COVID when we admittedly did not have congruency between the site plan and the architectural, as I was in the middle of design and I was unable to get those numbers linked, and our apologies for that. Relative to the survey and the field benchmarks, et cetera, it is now South County surveys. The data has been transferred ethically as it always is between surveyors. There's a former surveyor who retired, John Camo. So he has prepared the ink. He is the one who gave me the average natural contour, not the finished grade that you see that doesn't line up. It's the average natural contour I took and did the average of the four sides. In a conversation with Chuck Phelps, I verified how all those measurements were to be done. And James Calderon very much will come out the same way he has for me for the last 20 years on projects that I will be overseeing, where he very much will be doing all those measurements as needed.
So it'll be an engineer that you,
Well, he's a registered surveyor. Some of them are also engineers, but it's the registered surveyor who does that, and that's Jim.
all right, so we'll just be prepared to. Jen, Corey will have what I could go through this plan and be like, oh, it's this one. Oh, no, it's not this one. I need to really sit down and look and be able to tell her what there was it just seemed like it wasn't a huge discrepancy, but it's enough of a discrepancy that when we're talking yeah, it's a big, you have a big, it's tight and we just need to make sure that you're not going over and that
Understood.
you fit within the ordinance. Well, for height, we need
Yeah.
testimony. Yeah, we're gonna need testimony on that because there's, you have 37 feet. You can't go beyond 37 feet and you're right at 37 feet. Again, it's another thing, you're right at the threshold,
It was actually 36'2" on that, but
but it says
But your point
37
is
feet in other places.
the 37 foot was that was a courtesy to you guys to show you that 37 is a max. and then to show you the 36.2
Yeah.
that I have to
Okay.
just help prove the
All right.
point.
That's
Um,
great. It's 8 inches, so.
We have a surveyor who could do that. Do we need to bring him to zoning? Is that what you're?
That is your prerogative.
Okay, and then one more question. If we show up with 74 foot 9 3/4 inch, is that compliant or will that be rejected?
No, the ordinance says you can go up to 75 feet.
Awesome.
What they're saying is we have to prove that is in fact
Mhm.
measured.
Okay, then might I ask again, do you guys measure to face of cladding, face of stud, face of
measure
foundation wall? But, okay, so who is qualified to tell us whether we got that wrong?
The building official is who reviews. I mean, I can look at it and say, like, to me, but
Yeah.
that's not my.
Okay, so if I talked with Chuck Phelps and established that it's face of foundation wall, and if I show up and just say with my
Is
ethics,
it fascia? It's a fascia. It's everything, right?
oh, there we
It's a
go.
fascia.
Okay, so
It's
Yeah,
in-
with all due respect, I spent several hours along with my employee, and we could not find out whether the building plane
It's the but it's
involves-
the fascia and the trim, everything.
would Corey or whoever also point that out to us where that is in the ordinance.
But in the past,
that-
I'll tell you, that historically, we have included
Okay,
trim detail as and overhang, all that
okay.
gets.
So not the gutter, but the face of the finished face of fascia. Okay, we will show up with that.
Service by bringing up things that we see now when you're very tight on the plan.
Yes,
So that when you come to the actual meeting.
Yeah.
It doesn't get continued because of unanswered questions.
okay. So when I show up at the meeting for zoning, if I tell you myself that it's 74 foot 9 3/4 from fascia to fascia, will you guys need more data other than from me so that we can come and possibly get through this in one meeting? Or will you trust my data with that?
I can't speak for other board members. We have everybody's here. We have new members, we have learning members, we have.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of questions asked, and there's no guarantee that we're not gonna see
Understood.
something, a calculation that's off. It's not unusual for someone to be pushed to two meetings, and
Sure.
we're not gonna rush through something
Oh, yeah,
because for
understood.
the effort to have one meeting. you
Yeah,
know?
my question really relates to who can speak for the math.
But
Am
it's
I
not-
allowed to
I mean,
speak for the
Your
math?
architect, you have an architect
I-
stamp, yeah.
I am a registered architect, have been for 35 years. Okay,
We trust drawings that are done by competent and qualified people.
Okay.
No question about that.
super.
It's not
Sounds great.
personal.
It's just to make sure that it's consistent and it's tight. It's really tight, so,
Understood.
okay?
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry, could I just ask a
sure.
question? So who, to your point, who is is it our lawyer on the phone who tells us whether we have the ordinance correct? In other words, there was this question of foundation or clad.
Right,
So
so,
who, is
Well-
it up to us to decide, read the ordinance and decide that, or is the?
no, Bill, we read it, but our attorney will guide us.
Yeah, that's my recollection of how this has been done. It is to the fascia and not to the foundation wall. But it's really, I mean, the applicant should make sure that the building official is comfortable with it, because if you're taking one standard and you still need a building permit after you get the zoning relief. So you're proceeding at your own risk if you're not interpreting the dimensions the correct way. It's really not the zoning board that does that. The zoning board's got to rely on professional stamps and measurements and surveyors and architects. But at the end of the day, if the building official determines that it's not calculated correctly on the plans, that's really the responsibility of the applicant. So you've got to stay close to Chuck Phelps or whoever else can give you that guidance. Right now, that's more of a building code issue than a zoning issue.
Okay,
All right, so
Thanks, Bill.
the rule's gonna be that it has to be to fascia. I think Bob said that and.
yeah,
just
no, and we
Attorney
have,
Landry.
But
That has
ultimately,
been-
the building official is
Right,
the
right.
authority.
And that's why you're concerned about the tightness. I understand that, and I appreciate the enlightenment. So, that's, if that comes up as an issue, then we'll be in touch with them. But I think we've kind of stated what
just
they
be
believe the
prepared.
rule to be, and barring some surprise,
Okay.
we'll follow that. So,
I'm sorry, just one more question on that.
Never,
So-
no, ask away, please.
Back to that issue. So, I'm sorry, who's on the phone?
Bill Landry.
Bill. He said that's how we've done it. I guess my question is, what does the ordinance say?
Well, that's what we need to, he can't
As opposed
obviously
to
look it
that's
up
how
right
we
now
done it.
because he's,
It's in the definitions in the order.
Well, that's, okay, then it's in the definitions and
It's-
that's good. I just don't,
Under the word overhang, because it wasn't under overhang. Which word was it under?
okay, we're gonna, I'm gonna
This is for
schedule
you to-
this for,
for you to
this
do.
is,
I've done it and I've made a bunch of phone calls and have a bunch of emails and I never have an answer. So I'm wanting to do
Okay.
a little of that tonight. I appreciate.
we
you
just
guys.
we've just always gone to the fascia, to the trim, everything has
And I'll-
been.
yeah, we'll do
practice,
that.
so.
I found it, in fact, the first time that I remember where it was a big issue was that little house on Sunset Hill. That next to the Dodges, that they had a lot of overhang trim detail and it changed the way they measured the house. So that was probably about 15 years ago, but,
Yeah, we actually have a fascia and a breakboard, so I'm presuming breakboard fascia.
yeah. So I just, it's where that still sticks out in my mind. I always look for that now. So I'm gonna move to schedule this to the March 22nd meeting. Anybody have any more questions? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Great. We'll see you in March.
Is that for public hearing on the merits or just on the completeness of the application?
That is your hearing, your
Oh,
public
good.
hearing.
Okay, thank you. March 22nd. All right.
Let's go back to.
Sure.
This is 2820. 2820 Oh, this is on, sorry. Okay, we have our only public hearing of the evening is for John Hunt and Sari Corman, Lot 4, Lot 16, Lot 16 and 17, fire number 622, Corn Neck Road, and fire number 1065 Corn Neck Road. An application for variance from sections 306C to exceed lot building coverage and setback relief. The proposal merges two substandard lots into one larger substandard lot. All existing buildings to be raised and a new single-family dwelling and accessory buildings to be constructed.
Good
Hi,
evening.
Joe.
Well, I guess we're working under the new rules with a four-member board. I would like to say that we would much prefer a five-member board. And we really have no objection to Mr. Lamoureux sitting if he chooses, if he was willing to.
Hi, Bill.
Yeah, Joe, could you speak into the microphone? I didn't hear what you just said. It was kind of mumbled. I heard the previous speaker pretty clearly through the microphone, but I missed almost everything you just said.
I basically said that it looks like we're sitting with four members of the board and proceeding under the new laws for the first time, at least for me. And that I recognize that Mr. Lamoureux is an abutter because of the condo property he's a member of. But we would rather proceed with five, and we do not have an objection to him sitting if he's willing to, and if you think he's able to.
Well, if he thinks he's able to hear it objectively and you're waiving any potential conflict, I have no issue with it. And yes, we are, after January 1st, proceeding under the new rules that the decision is based on the members who are present and voting and not the whole board.
We waive any objection to you sitting on the board,
All right,
absolutely.
excellent. Okay. So,
And Mr. Hunt sends his apologies. The weather scared him off. He has a place he has to be in the morning, and he was wondering whether he might not be able to fly off this evening. Since I don't fly too often, I couldn't really advise him.
okay,
question before we start?
Sure.
Is this the same paperwork that we received in January or has it
Yes,
changed since? Okay.
same, nothing's changed. nothing, because you had everything ready to go in January, because we had questions in the fall when you.
Yeah, we actually, in January, I think we had quorum, we had the same quorum issue. And we chose not to proceed because there were only 4 and it turns out there were only 3, so we made the right decision.
Forum issues have been fun.
Anyway, Mr. Hunt owns 2 existing developed substandard lots of record located in the residential A zone off Corn Neck Road in the northern part of the island. There are two oceanfront lots which abut Crescent Beach and are located in part in the coastal zone, which is defined in your ordinance as the island's environmentally vulnerable coastal bluffs, dunes, and wetlands, and areas landward 100 feet from the delineated coastal feature as determined by the Coastal Resources Management Council. Structures are not permitted in the coastal zone, and you will see in our application that we actually have a determination from coastal of the coastal feature, which shows in our plans, and all the structures are moved back outside of that zone. So everything's over 100 feet from the edge of the coastal feature. The northernmost existing lot is identified by the tax assessor as lot 17 on Assessor's Plat 4. It's currently developed with a 5-bedroom, 2,174 square foot dwelling. It's a pre-existing non-conforming structure which would not be allowed in the coastal zone today. It's non-conforming dimensionally and by use. It's located 6.8 feet from the northerly boundary, 43.54 feet from its southerly boundary, and just 37.29 feet from the coastal feature. It is located entirely in the coastal zone. The southernmost lot, identified by the tax assessors as lot 16 on Plat 4, it's developed with a 1,848 square foot 4-bedroom house and a 380 foot garage. Both are pre-existing non-conforming structures. The house, with the exception of a portion of its deck, is located entirely in the coastal zone, 10.86 feet from its northerly boundary, 45.53 from its southerly boundary, and 57.12 feet from the coastal feature. So it's dimensionally non-conforming and it's non-conforming by use because of its location in the coastal zone. The garage would be permitted. It's outside the coastal zone. Would be permitted, and located 37.43 feet from the southerly boundary. Mr. Hunt's proposal is to merge the 2 lots into one. It won't cure the lot nonconformity. They're both roughly 30,000 square feet. When he merges them, he'll end up with a lot of 61,855 square feet, twice the size of the existing lots, but still half the size of the lot requirement in the RA zone. He has obtained planning board approval for the merger, which is contingent upon him getting the approval from you for his plan that he's proposed this evening. He has designed his house with the large house provisions of the ordinance in mind. The application, which includes a house, an accessory residential structure, and a fitness accessory structure, does not require a special use permit. It's not a large house. His proposed house will contain 4 bedrooms and a building footprint of 1,833 square feet. This is 15 square feet less than the 4-bedroom house on the southerly lot, and it's 340 square feet less than the house on the northerly lot. So basically, the house he proposes is smaller than each of the houses already on the 2 lots. With the exception of the bulkhead, the house is located entirely outside of the zoning 50-foot setback. The bulkhead does extend into the 50-foot setback. And it has a lot, its lot coverage is 2.96%, which is less than the 3% allowed for a dwelling. So in and of itself, with the exception of the bulkhead, it would be permitted. The 2-bedroom accessory structure has a footprint of 831 square feet, located 48.3 feet from the northerly boundary of the merged lot and 17.5 feet from the westerly boundary, entirely outside of the coastal zone, but it requires relief on both the northerly boundary and on the westerly boundary. Similarly, the garage requires relief from the southerly boundary of 30, which is 36.4 feet from, and from the westerly boundary, which is 16.9 feet from. This is not a situation in which Mr. Hunt has created the hardship from which he seeks relief. The two lots existed and were already developed in 1967 when the zoning ordinance was first enacted. He has not combined them yet. They still exist. His preliminary subdivision approval depends on him receiving necessary zoning setback and lot coverage relief to allow him to build the proposal before you this evening. The proposal eliminates the use nonconformity by removing all the structures from the coastal zone and significantly decreases the dimensional nonconformity and the lot coverage nonconformity. The houses, the existing houses, which contain 9 bedrooms and have a combined building footprint of 4,152 square feet, will be replaced by a new 4-bedroom house and a new 2-bedroom accessory residential structure with a combined footprint of about 2,680 square feet. Both of these are located entirely outside the coastal zone and are conforming by use with the zoning ordinance. The 380 square foot garage will be replaced with a 678 square foot fitness structure. The total building footprint on the property will be reduced from 4,402 square feet to 3,342 square feet, a reduction of 1,060 square feet, approximately 25% of the existing building footprint. The overall building lot coverage will be reduced from 7.1% to 5.4%. The buildings will also require less dimensional relief than the garage and than the existing buildings do. They're located, the most relief they require is on the westerly boundary, where one is located 16.9 feet from it, the other is located 17.5 feet from it. By contrast, the existing house on the northerly boundary is located 6.8 feet from the northerly boundary, and the existing house on the southerly lot is 10.86 from the southerly boundary. Mr. Huntsman, from its northerly boundary, excuse me, which is the boundary between the two existing lots. In summary, he eliminates 2 houses containing 9 bedrooms, non-conforming by use from the coastal zone, and replaces them with 1 house and an accessory residential structure containing 6 bedrooms located entirely outside the coastal zone. And he replaces an existing 17-year-old septic system and an existing septic system of entirely uncertain origin with a new and up to the date OWTS. It's our opinion that his proposal does not create hardships from which he seeks relief, but substantially alleviates the existing nonconformities by bringing the residential use into conformance with the zoning ordinance. And it alleviates, even though it doesn't entirely eliminate, existing dimensional nonconformities. And with that somewhat lengthy introduction, I'd like to call Karen Beck as my first witness.
Karen, will you raise your hand to be sworn in? Bill, you want to swear in or just Sally? Bill, you're muted. Do you want to sign? You're muted again. Sally, you want to swear in, please?
I do. My name is Karen A. Beck, B as in boy, E as in Edward, C as in Charlie, A as in Karen.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. We're good.
I guess we have to share my.
Yeah.
Karen, what's your occupation?
I'm a registered landscape architect,
And how long have you worked in this field?
almost 39 years.
And who are you employed by?
Currently, I'm employed by Principi Engineering, and I've been with them 2 years.
And you've been involved with them for the entire development of these plans?
I have.
And were they engaged to do all the necessary engineering and surveying work for these plans?
Yes,
And in connection with your work, did you confirm that the Mr. Hunt property consisted of 2 existing and developed lots of record?
I did.
Are these plans shown on your existing conditions plan?
They are.
This plan dated August 11, 2022, entitled Existing Conditions Plan for John Hunt Lots 4 and AP four lot 16 and 17, your existing conditions plan?
It is.
You want to use your copies to mark, or you want me to give you?
Yeah, we can mark a file. So it's, what is it? It's,
The existing conditions plan we're marking as exhibit 1.
all right, I gotta find it. What does it look like? Show me the, okay.
Suppose you're in the architect. You're in the
I
architect.
know. All right, I'm trying to get to it. Hold on. Architect.
That's architect. That's architect.
Then I'll take yours. Okay, exhibit, one is existing conditions plan for John Hunt, AP, 4, lot 16 to 17, by Thomas Principe, stamped by Thomas Principe, registered professional engineer. That's all. It's like, great. Stamp it.
Right here?
Yeah.
Oh, it's upside down.
It's okay, you're doing
Okay.
fine. Just put one right there.
And now turn the stamp around. We'd also like to, before we get going, submit the municipal lien certificates from the town showing the 2 lots as separate lots of record. Mark that up if it's 2. or-
Applicants to are the municipal lien certificates from the town of East Shoreham, exhibiting 2 lots of record. Two, A, but second sheet for 2.
You have the.
This is, I think it's just the one.
That's good, yeah.
Package. Hmm?
This is existing, though. Where's-
That's existing
where's the
condition.
proposed?
He hasn't gotten there yet.
We're gonna go through that first, then we're gonna bring you.
Okay.
And before the, we're gonna also submit the aerial, which shows the 2 special plat lots and the development plan.
Exhibit number 3 is an aerial showing the 2 existing lots.
Now, can you work without the plan in your hand? Do you think? I just asked her if she could work without the plan in hand for the questions we want.
You want it back? Because everybody has it up, okay. Okay.
So how is lot 17, the northerlymost lot, developed?
It currently contains an existing 5-bedroom house with an OWTS, which was installed approximately 15 years ago.
And how close is it located to the northerly boundary line?
Utilizing the edge of the deck as opposed to the main structure of the house, the deck is approximately 6.81 feet from the northerly boundary line,
How far is it located from its southerly boundary?
43.54 feet.
And is it located within 37.29 feet of the coastal feature?
It is,
Is it located entirely in the coastal zone?
it is.
How large is this lot?
It's 0.75 acres, which is 32,670 square feet,
And what's the footprint of the house on this lot?
2,174.
And what is the building coverage of this lot?
It's greater than 6%.
So is it fair to say that each of the dimensions fails to comply with the existing zoning ordinance and that the lot coverage ratio is greater than allowed by the existing zoning ordinance?
Yes.
Now let's look at the southerly lot, lot 16. How close is it located to its northerly boundary?
It's 10.86 feet from the northerly boundary line,
And from the southerly boundary line?
45.53 feet.
And is it located within 57.12 feet of the coastal feature?
It is,
So is it almost entirely in the coastal zone?
yes.
What is the combined footprint of the house and the garage?
2,228 square feet.
And the size of the lot?
Is 0.67 acres or 29,185 square feet,
What does that make for a building lot coverage?
greater than 7%.
And is the garage located also within 37.43 feet of the southerly boundary?
Yes,
Are both of these lots substandard?
that is correct.
And does the proposal before the zoning board this evening propose to combine the 2 lots into one?
Yes,
Will the single lot still be non-conforming,
yes,
but less non-conforming than the 2?
correct.
Did you prepare a a proposed and existing site plan and a proposed site plan map.
Yes.
Map dated August 11th, 2022, entitled Proposed and Existing Site Plan for John Hunt, Plat 4, Lot 16 and 17. Your proposed and existing plan.
Yes,
It's a little busy.
it is.
Exhibit 4 is proposed and existing site plan. Getting good.
Phosphor too, part.
Lots going on here.
I know there's a lot going on here.
And is the plan entitled Site Layout Plan for John Hunt, Plat 4, Lot 16 and 17. A plan that shows what would be developed on the lot if the application is granted. Essentially a proposed conditions plan.
Yes.
Applicant's exhibit 5 is the site layout plan for proposed structures.
And that I hope you'll find a bit less busy.
That is so nice to look at. Okay.
Looking at the proposed site plan, Karen, this show the lots merged into one, and it will show the development proposed by Mr. Hunt on the lot.
Yes.
Will you please describe the buildings and infrastructure shown on the proposed site?
The main structure will be a new 4-bedroom residence. There will also be a new 2-bedroom guest accessory structure and a new accessory fitness structure. There will be a new well installed, and of the 2 septic systems that are currently on the property, one will be removed in its entirety and the other one will be partially removed and portions of the septic system be reused.
Can I just ask a question before we go any further on that? I just have like, what did planning say about that, removing the, septic, I just think in that area with land disturbance and fragile bluff.
They actually, the septic system is as far to the west as
It's way back. Okay.
possible, and they were very happy.
Oh, right, it's over,
going in the same place.
it's going in the same, I gotcha. Okay,
It's
it's just
almost-
interesting to, I never, we don't.
And why don't you describe, we have an approval for a new OWTS. I'll be getting to that with plan.
Okay.
Why don't you describe, but why you want to describe that now for them?
The new OWTS, so as,
Is this plan on-site wastewater treatment system design dated June 28th, 2022, and stamped by the Department of Environmental Management, June 8th, 2022, the approved new OWTS plan?
it is.
Okay, exhibit, where are we up to? 6. The OWTS plan, sorry. By Thomas Principe.
Is it utilizing the existing system though?
I'm sorry?
Is it utilizing the existing system at all? It looks like it's the same exact place.
No, it's a different, it's a new installed system, but there are components of it, like the tanks.
Yeah.
Can be reused, so those are gonna be reused as part of the new system.
Okay.
And what, and is it a denitrification system?
It is,
An allergen, right?
no, it's Advantex.
What's the leach field?
I'm sorry,
What's the leach field?
I'm not sure. I didn't actually design the system. Yeah, GeoMap. But basically, as was originally mentioned earlier, there's one septic system that's on the property that's for the southern lot 16. That one is ancient. We have no idea what type of system it is, whether it's even a septic system or a cesspool. That's gonna be removed in its entirety. And then the system to the north was installed about 15 years ago, so it's a newer system. But due to some of the constraints on the site and trying to make sure that it is the best system that could be installed on the property, we're removing that system, but reusing some of the components.
What is the street frontage of the merged lots?
Approximately 195 linear feet,
And what's the area of the merged lot?
61,855 square feet.
Okay, let's look at the house that's been proposed. Is it designed so that it does not require relief as a large house pursuant to 306E of the zoning ordinance?
Yes,
Is it located almost entirely within the 50-foot, outside the 50-foot zoning setback?
no,
Almost entirely?
yes.
What? And what part of it is within the setback?
The bulkhead,
And how far is the bulkhead from the setback from the southerly boundary?
it's approximately 42 feet.
Is the house located more than 100 feet from the coastal feature?
Yes,
Located entirely outside the coastal zone?
yes,
What is its footprint?
1,833 square feet,
What is its footprint exclusive of ground level and first floor decks?
1,796,
What is its building lot coverage?
2.96%.
Does all of this, except for the encroachment of the bulkhead, conform to the principal structure requirements in the residential A zone under the zoning ordinance?
It does.
Can I ask a question? Is there a reason why the bulkhead cannot be facing west so that it is in conformance?
We're gonna have
Okay.
Mr.
All right, we'll get to that. All right, just remember that aspect. Okay,
Now let's look at the accessory residential structure. Is it located 48.3 feet from the northerly boundary?
It is.
Does it comply with the zoning setback to the south?
Yes,
Is it located 17.5 feet from the westerly boundary?
yes,
Is it located more than 100 feet from the coastal feature?
yes,
So it's located entirely outside the coastal zone.
yes.
What's its building footprint?
831 square feet,
And what would its building lot coverage be?
1.34%.
And now let's look at that, and that's in the accessory residential structure, isn't
The
it?
two-bedroom structure, yes.
Now let's look at the accessory structure. Does it comply with the zoning setbacks to the north?
Yes,
Is it located 36.4 feet from the southerly boundary?
yes,
Is it in the approximate location of the existing garage?
yes,
Is it located 16.9 feet from the westerly boundary?
yes,
Is it located more than 100 feet from the coastal feature?
yes,
So it's entirely outside the coastal zone.
yes.
And its building footprint is what?
678 square feet,
And its lot coverage?
1.1%.
To go back briefly, the two lots that currently exist are pre-existing non-conforming, is that correct?
Correct.
Did Mr. Hunt create the non-conforming lots, or were they non-conforming and developed when he bought them?
They were non-conforming lots when he bought them.
Um, And if the proposal is granted this evening, both of these existing houses and the existing garage will be torn down, will they not?
Yes,
And all new structures located outside the coastal zone.
yes,
Um, Now, as part of the identification of the coastal zone, you were required to identify the inland edge of the coastal feature, is that correct?
that's correct.
In doing that, and preparing for our original hearing, did you prepare a letter to the board, since we weren't sure we were gonna have a response from coastal?
Yes,
Is this letter dated 8/15/2022 entitled Coastal Verification addressed to me, that letter?
yes.
What was your conclusion in that letter?
That there was in fact coastal resource management council jurisdiction on the property, and that it had been flagged in the field, and that any work within 200 feet of that would be required to go to the coastal resources management council.
And did you also indicate that you, at that time, you thought your flagging was accurate and would be confirmed by the Coastal Resource Management Council?
Yes,
Exhibit 7 is a letter with, the Mr. Priestley from the Priestley Company, about coastal verification.
And then at that time, you would file this application, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The application to the CRMC, exhibit number 8.
And since that letter was written and since we filed the application, have you finally in fact received preliminary determination from coastal for both lots?
We have.
And what is the conclusion of those two preliminary determinants regarding your delineation of the coastal feature as shown on the plan?
That the delineation was in fact correct and the edge of the coastal feature is the top of the bluff.
Applicants 9A and B are the findings, what are they called? The preliminary determination or findings from the coastal resource.
Now, if I may, just real quickly, no, actually, unless you have any questions about the size of the house that I haven't already gone through, I have no further questions from Mrs. Beck.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you.
And my last witness is Michael Morris. You can ask him. 'Cause I asked that,
Get ready.
but I don't need the answer.
Oh, please, Sally, can you swear?
Michael D. Morris, Morris.
Mr. Morris, are you an associate with the architectural firm Estes, Tremblay and Citrington?
That's correct.
And that's a Rhode Island firm
It is.
out of Newport?
Correct.
And how long have you worked in this field?
8 years,
And how long have you worked with them?
a year and a half.
Okay. Did Mr. Hunt engage your firm to work with him to create the plan that's before the board this evening?
He did.
Could you, and during your planning, you became familiar with the two existing houses, the two existing lots?
Correct.
Will you please describe the existing site condition?
The site consists of 2 adjoining lots, both of record inside the coastal zone. The lots include an existing 5-bedroom dwelling on lot 17, the northerly lot, and an existing 4-bedroom dwelling and a garage on lot 16. Both of the existing lots are substandard and the existing structures are both non-conforming. Both existing dwelling structures are sited within the coastal setback, within the northernmost, with the northernmost dwelling being sited entirely within the coastal zone. And the 4-bedroom dwelling to the south is also entirely within the coastal zone, with the exception of a small portion of the western part of a wraparound deck. The existing dwellings are also non-conforming in that they are both encroaching significantly on their side setbacks. They're sited within 6.8 feet and 10.86 feet of their northerly boundary lines respectively.
Were many of these details laid out in a coverage area and volume calculation letter that your firm prepared dated August 15, 2022?
That's correct.
Is this that?
It is.
10, exhibit 10 is a volume calculation in lot coverage calculation.
And as part of this application, did you also prepare the town of New Shoreham zoning plan review form?
Yes,
And that repeats a lot of the information that we've already gone forward this evening?
correct.
11 is the town's zoning plan review calculation worksheet. Ori. I'm just getting nervous. 11.
And finally, you actually also got around to preparing some architectural plans, did you not?
We did, yes.
So I've got plans beginning with.
See, let's mark what we have so that
Okay, let's make sure we have the right date.
we have January 2023.
Good.
Okay. 12 or.
Yeah, you have 11/22/22.
Right,
You may-
January.
You received it
Okay.
January 20, yeah.
Okay. What is this? Well, exhibit 12 are architectural, plans consisting of
Sheets A01, A01, A02, A11, A12, A13, A14, A21, A22, A23. Yeah,
10 pages, right? 10 pages.
11/22 is the date.
Yeah, dated 11/22/22 by S.S. Twombly and Princeton.
would you please describe for the board what Mr. Hunt proposes to do if he receives the approval of your plan?
With the zoning board approval, Mr. Hunt plans to combine the two lots, raise the two existing structures and the garage, and construct a single house and accessory structures further from the coastal bluff. He intends to significantly reduce the overall building lot coverage, as well as reduce the environmental impact of the lot by going from 2 septic systems to only 1. Mr. Hunt's use of the property, it won't change with the redevelopment. It'll still be used primarily as a family vacation spot.
And walking you through the plan, is sheet A01 the overall proposed site?
It is.
Please describe how you propose to redevelop the site and how that development compares to the existing development in the immediate area, with the specific attention to the lot to the south.
A0.1, it's the proposed site plan. So it shows the 4-bedroom, single-family dwelling, the 2-bedroom accessory residential structure, the guest house, and an accessory fitness structure. They're all located outside of the 100-foot coastal zone, and actually, I'll leave it at that.
Unless, before we go, well, no, let's
Oh.
move on to the main house building elevation, sheets A21 and A22. Could you please describe the main house?
So the main house, sorry. The main house is on A1.1 and A1.2. And so the first floor includes all guest bedrooms with guest living space being located on the, or all of these, with the kitchen, dining, and the living space located on the second floor, as well as an adjacent roof deck to that space.
So is the height, is the house at its tallest 32 feet?
It is, yes.
That is not, but that is only approximately a portion of the full length of it, is that correct?
That's correct. So 1/3 of the house is actually a single-story structure, where the other 2/3 is a 2-story structure.
And the 32 feet is measured not from the 1-story corner, but from the corner of the, so it's, we haven't measured at the corner where it's lower to get an average, but you've averaged at its 4 corners where it's highest to get the height, is that correct?
Correct. It's from average grade plane to the maximum height.
Could you please describe the guest house, referring to the elevation on sheet A23?
The guest house on A2.3, apologies, jumping around here a little bit. That's an elevational drawing. And so it's a 2-story shingled structure with a gable roof. It includes a balcony on the east elevation. If you look at the north elevation, you can see that similar to the main house, portion of the guest house is also single story.
And please, referring to sheet A24, describe the fitness building.
The fitness building on A24 is a single story structure with a flat roof. It would be clad with similar siding material to the rest of the houses. And yeah, as I mentioned, it's a single story.
Can you please describe to the board how the structures fit together, why you've located them, where you've located them, and how they relate to the surrounding buildings?
The proposed structures fit together due to their cohesive materiality and the small scale forms that are consistent with the Block Island vernacular. They've been located around a central parking court at the west of the site, with the single family dwelling located to the east and the parking court being bookended at the north and south by the accessory residential structure and the accessory fitness structure. As I mentioned before, the structures are all located outside of the coastal zone, and the accessory fitness structure is located at the southern portion of the site based on the existing garage. So that southern line is held there. And I'd also like to point out that aside from the bulkhead, the single family dwelling does not encroach in any of the side setbacks.
Now that gets us to.
Why are we on the
question.
bulkhead?
Yeah. Can you put the bulkhead anyplace else?
So it was located based on its trying to get it in close proximity to the, to winter storage type of thing. So all the furniture that would be on the ocean side. So that's why we've located it where it is currently.
And what would be the comparative effect of the
But-
view?
Okay.
You satisfied?
No. The, I mean, if you're moving deck furniture from the yard, which is gonna be presumably to the, I have to look at the site plan.
To the east.
To the east, right? And I mean, there are other places, it looks like to me, that you could put the bulkhead, and get it out of that setback. This maybe
You mean
seems
locating on the east side?
on the east side, on the west side, I mean, you're talking a matter of 10 feet of walking further.
We have to be careful on the east side because I think it's more important for us to stay out of the coastal zone.
Great, okay, so what about the west side?
We could confer with the client to see.
There's no hardship, I'm not seeing a hardship there, you're not explaining a hardship there, I get that it may encroach on the coastal setback back there on the east side, but on the south side, I don't know how everybody else feels about that, it doesn't,
It's not any closer.
what's existing.
The existing garage is
The
located.
gym says, I just reduces the
Yeah.
non-conformance, and
Right,
that's what we
right.
look for, and it's. So that, where's the hardship?
So the hardship is apparently pretty clear on the east.
Yeah, I got that, yes.
Could it be located on the west or on the north? The west. or the north?
It could,
I'm not trying to put you on the spot as far as,
it could.
What will be the comparative effect of the view, on the views of the neighbors to the north and the